Other interesting political news, you have Republicans blocked the bump stock ban. They did something, which, I mean, this has to be one of the most newsworthy things I've talked about all year. Republicans did something for the Second Amendment. I shouldn't be this excited, but it's become so rare. The bar is so low. They finally did. I mean, same thing with the NRA. The NRA supported the bump stock ban, which, again, mechanically and legally speaking, is a terrible, terrible piece of legislation. You do not want that to backdoor just pretty much eliminate all firearms that are semi-automatic. Because again, the mechanism of bump firing just lets you do it from the shoulder. Basically, instead of the stock being fixed, it stays in place. You put your finger on a piece of basically overmolded plastic. You push the rifle barrel assembly, the upper forward, while your finger stays on that piece of plastic, and then it bumps back and forth. You have to push with the other hand, and hence the word bump fire. Now, you can do that rudimentarily using a belt loop, which will be interesting. Maybe the ATF will try to make that illegal next. Lord knows they've tried crazier things. Now, this is brought to us thanks to Gun Owners of America, one of the best ways to support your firearms rights. Not a paid ambassador, just a big fan of what they do. They say, Second Amendment win. Senator Ricketts has blocked the passage of the fake bump stock ban, which also required semi-automatic gun registration under the unconstitutional National Firearms Act of 1934. It would have also encouraged a new ATF rule banning most semi-automatic firearms. Which, again, there's very few instances where I would actually want to buy a politician a beer or a whiskey, but this would be one. Because, again, this would be a terrible precedent. I mean, also make it, if you had to register them, if you made all semi-automatic guns under the NFA Act of 1934, you also, in addition to the unconstitutional sales tax you have to pay on the firearms, you have to pay the $200 tax stamp on it. You also have an additional fingerprints, photo ID, or photos taken, passport photo style, and more paperwork and bureaucracy, which could take months, or even half a year, or even 9 months to get done with the bureaucratic process. Which, again, the Second Amendment was meant for you to have the same, if not better, armament than the U.S. government, because the founders feared so much that the government would become corrupt and unable to be overthrown. Now, this is great news for the Second Amendment, and only got not enough votes or likes. Got only 42,000 views and 1.7 thousand likes. Again, because of how this would redefine the definition of machine gun and redefine semi-automatic firearms, the most popular firearm, bar none in terms of average consumer ownership. Which, again, at the end of the day, it be struck down because the Brewer decision. The Supreme Court said you cannot ban firearms in common usage. But nevertheless, never trust Congress to. They love to do unconstitutional things all the time, it seems. One of the first comments comes from Guns of Liberty saying, "Thank you, Senator Ricks and Gun Owners of America. We appreciate your hard work." Getting 79 likes. You have Sergeant J76 said, "When did the ATF ever start thinking they can make laws pertaining to our constitutional rights?" Getting 14 likes. Which, yep, they like to so legally the ATF isn't supposed to make laws. They just magically reinterpret laws, and all of a sudden things are banned, and you're a felon overnight. Because again, if you do not abide by the National Firearms Act of 1934, which that is a piece of act that regulates such things as short-barreled rifles, short-barreled shotguns, machine guns, suppressors, any other weapons, also known as AFWs, and destructive devices. Well, if you don't abide by that, you have to pay a $250,000 fine and 10 years in jail. It's a very serious thing, which is why so many firearms enthusiasts are very political, because you need to know the law properly. Because ignorance of the law is not a defense of the law in the court. You have David May saying, "Can't wait for the NFA to fail too," getting 13 likes. That would be amazing. Zero says, "Thank you, Senator, for honoring your oath," getting 33 likes, which is another disgusting thing. So many people in the government consistently trample on the Constitution and try to take our rights away. There should definitely be exams where you have to read documents by the Founding Fathers, at the very least, Constitution and Bill of Rights. And because it's disgusting how many of them pretend that they believe in it and they just want to disarm us and take away your rights. Jimmy Manes says, "About time we hear from PD Boy doing something right. Good move from him on his side. But always keep in mind what he also supported. It's wise to keep in mind anything politicians will do to their support. Will throw their support behind." Getting 6 likes. Which, yep, never praise or critique someone just because they have an R or D next to their name on the ballot. Know their policies and their track record, because you have a lot of rhinos, pejoratively known as Republicans in name only, who say they're Republican on the ballot. However, when it comes to votes and action, they're quite the antithesis. Fascinating how you don't see how the Democrats actually respect that, because you vote for Democrat, they're going to do Democrat things. They're going to stand for the policies and conscriptions, the methodologies they think are best for the country. They are much more transparent with their advertising, I would argue. Now, Truth Health Freedom says thank you. Senator Ricks getting 7 likes. House Paradise said nicely done. Let's see. John Clagan says Senator Ricks is a senator Texas should have. Indeed, we have John Cornyn getting 1 like. The Acid Tiger says I'm glad I contacted him now. Getting 5 likes. Froggy Family says I'm not a huge Ricks fan, but I give him props for his vote. Getting 3. Let's make it 4 likes. Because again, a lot of these politicians are coin driven or rudimentary speaking. They basically have tally marks and says, how many people in my constituents want to do one thing versus the other thing. So always let your voice be appropriately heard. I'm a big fan of emailing politicians, even maybe sending a physical letter, letting them know what side you want them to vote on when it comes to specific initiatives and stances and policies and topics. Because again, a good politician will listen. Granted, that being said, I don't know how many good are left. Perhaps we can maybe count them on our 2 hands. But some good news for the Second Amendment. That's a rare, great thing. It'll be interesting to see how many more states try to ban bump stocks and realistically how many people want them now that, in terms of firearm technology, the prevalent technology most used these days is a binary trigger, which is, I believe, the patent's held by Franklin Armory. Then they also licensed it to Fostech, those being the 2 major manufacturers you usually see if you go to a gun store. Because, again, the gun is not going back and forth, but rather when you pull the trigger, the gun fires. When you release the trigger, it fires again, which, according to the ATF definition, does comply with the NFA Act, since the definition of them pulling the trigger would comply with pull as well as a release. It's an individual action, which is, again, is how they're currently interpreting it, which is also the scary thing. They could try to make that illegal tomorrow and make millions of Americans felons yet again, which is why you always have to be vigilant being a gun owner if you're buying, I would say, novelties or toys, but again, I respect them. I think it's in the Constitution to own these things. But let me know, do you think bump stocks will make a comeback in terms of mass manufacturing? Is the demand there from a consumer's perspective? Let me know in the comments, because as always, I'd be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to tune in. Again, trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of the month. So if you could click that button, I would greatly appreciate it. Also, leaving a thumbs up, thumbs down, or comment is a great way to give me some additional feedback, letting me know how I can make the show better and better. Lastly, don't forget to take the time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe and fight the good fight.